Every coffee needs a lotus.
Okay, we're live. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon to our Zoom participants, and good afternoon to our FB Live viewers and YouTube subscribers. So it's a super Saturday today, another day of learning. And our topic for today is communication and relationship building in times of crisis. Welcome to another e learning session powered by Arriva Academy. Again, this is Irish Malonda Samson, your host, and I'm so happy because today we will be joined by a co-host and a moderator, another partner speaker of Ariba, Mr. Howell Mabalot. Wave your
Hey,
hand, Sir Howell.
hi, thank you so much, Madam President Irish Malonda Samson, for having me co-moderate and co-host this program with you.
Okay, so
Mhm.
shall we start, sir? Let me please allow me to greet first our out of the country participants. Thank you for joining us. Our participants from Australia, India, Dutamas, Malaysia, Petaling Jaya, Malaysia, and Lalitpur, Nepal. So thank you for joining us today. And in order for us to have a smooth flow of our e-learning session, here are the house rules. Okay, we will be having a quick break later after the presentation of our guest speaker and before we move on to our question and answer portion. Participants' microphones will be temporarily disabled by the administrator during discussion to avoid interruptions. Questions will be entertained after each topic of the session. For questions and clarifications during the provided time after each topic, please click the raise button below for the administrator to enable the microphone for live questions. Type in your questions at the Q&A box. One question at a time will be entertained. For comments and feedback, please scan this QR code. This will be directed to our feedback form. Please send us your comments, ideas, suggestions so that we can improve our future e-learning sessions. And now to discuss communication and relationships building in times of crisis, Sir Howell, do the honors to introduce our guest speaker.
Thank you, Madam Irish Malonda Samson, our dear President. Well, it's an honor to introduce our speaker, one of the members of Riva Speakers Bureau. He is also known as the customer service guy and has been in the training industry for over 19 grow by improving their customer service. He was from the top tier BPOs, IBM, Telecare, Acquire Asia. He was also as part of the Information Technology Business Process Association Philippines, or IBPAP. She, of course, is the Industry Academy Officer and, of course, as a master trainer for the collaboration of CHED and IBPAP called Service Management Program, or SMP. This one, PNAP's People Program of the Year 2017. As a leadership training consultant, his clients are varied from multinational corporations to government agencies such as Ramcor Group of companies, makers of Motolite, ABS-CBN, Eagle Cement, Megawide Construction, Air Force, province of Camiguin, to restaurant chains like Mama Lou's, known as Pizzeria, Keiko Korean or Coco Korean, home of the Soul Chicken. He studied in the Ateneo for his primary and secondary education and later went to St. Joseph's College to take up AB Economics at University of Santo Tomas and of course, PS Tourism. He finds joy in being able to help forge lasting partnerships with his clients and truly believes that he is improving lives one trainee at a time. So without further ado, everybody, let's all welcome the customer service guy, Mr. Eckhon Malig. Hello?
Oh, hi, how are you guys?
We're good. We're happy to have you.
Yeah, can you see me, Howell?
Yes, I can clearly see you.
All right, so good. I'm very happy to have been introduced by an esteemed colleague in the business. And I know for a fact that you also would handle training like customer service, and I know you are as qualified as I am. So thank you for the warm welcome, as well as Miss Irish, our president, is also there. Thank you very much, and I hope everyone is safe and enjoying the cozy comforts of their humble abode.
Yes, thank you as well.
All right, so are you guys ready to start?
Yes, we are.
All right, so first of all, it is very important when we talk about communication and relationships in building times of crisis. But before we even get through that particular deck or PowerPoint, shall I say, let me share with you a short video wherein I would, it's actually a small brief introduction. Okay, let us share. Here we go, my screen. Here we go. Can you see it?
Yes, we can.
Can you hear?
Sir Eckhon, share computer sounds pa. Walang audio po.
Ayan, we're not hearing the audio, Sir Eckhon. Ayan. But we can clearly see the video. Sounds of the audio.
Okay na, may audio ba?
Wala pa rin. But we're seeing clearly the pictures being shown.
Share with computer sounds po, sir. Pag-share screen niya.
Again?
Share niyo po computer sounds.
Computer sounds.
New share ulit pa.
Ayan. Ayan, we can hear it now.
Kanina video lang. Okay, so let us start our discussions. By the way, are we greeting anybody from what I heard, from what I remember? Are we greeting any of our viewers?
Later, after your talk, we'll be greeting the birthday celebrants and the local attendees, the national attendees.
Right. Okay. So let us start with the discussion of the meat of the discussion. Okay.
Mhm.
Can you see it there? Is it sharing, Howell?
I can hear you now, yes.
Yeah, and can you see the slide?
We're still seeing the end of the video.
Okay, hold on.
Okay, you may want to minimize the video so we can see your
Right.
PowerPoint presentation. Ayan.
There you go.
I see a full head of hair.
Yes. That is what the ECQ has done to us. Right, there, as you can see. So now, can you see the PowerPoint?
Yes, we can see the PowerPoint now.
There. Okay, so we would like to start our discussion when we talk about a very important subject. And this subject, as a matter of fact, is very important for all businesses that are out there. Most of it actually are our clients, so to speak, Howard. These are our clients. So let us talk about communication and relationship building in times of crisis. Okay. First of all, before we even get to the actual gist of the discussion, we would have to first understand what is a crisis. Because remember, what is happening now, a lot of companies suddenly realize that BCP or business continuity planning is something that they overlooked. I'm sure you would agree with me. A lot of businesses suddenly realize that they're planning what they're going to do as it happens. Okay, so this is opposite to what we call the business continuity planning. So first, normally when we talk about BCP or business continuity, we're simply talking about earthquakes, flooding, power outage, typhoons. Never have we realized that crisis would also include a pandemic. Okay, a virus that is so deadly that it just wants us to stay home. That is why we are now live broadcasting in the comforts of our own home. Well, obviously you're at your house and me as well. So let us first define what a crisis is. A crisis is a time of intense difficulty, trouble, or danger. Okay, this is also considered by a lot of people that it is also a time when a difficult or important decision must be made. And obviously, a lot of the people or businesses nowadays, organizations, suddenly realize that this is an important decision that we have to be making. It's the turning point of a disease. So if you look at it, the crisis talks also about diseases, okay? So it's the turning point of a disease when an important change takes place, indicating either recovery or death, okay? So as a matter of fact, what we are experiencing right now, not only are we making important decisions, not only is it an intense difficulty, trouble or danger, but it also includes diseases now, okay? Remember, the good thing about when I mentioned disease or virus is that over the past 2 days, we've been having more recoveries than deaths. So that's one good thing that I'm hearing and I'm seeing in the news very recently. I'm sure you also, Howard, would be very happy hearing about it, right? Now, continuing is that a crisis is a situation, this is more like a layman's term, okay? It is defined as a stressful time in an individual's life when they experience a breakdown or disruption, okay? Take note, disruption in their usual or normal daily activities or family functioning. There are certain elements to a call that make a situation a crisis situation. And definitely, our norms have suddenly changed, Howell. Do you agree?
I agree.
Our norm now, when you go watch the TV, you would see the newscasters broadcasting in their own houses. there's only, I think, one or two news broadcasts that you would see them on the studio, but more often than not, they'd be remotely located in the houses to be safe, following on the discussion of staying at home. Okay. Now, when we talk about crisis, this is very important. There are 4 stages that when we talk about crisis. The very first one is what we call the prodromal stage. And this is what happened, shall I say, in ground zero in Wuhan. Okay? Happened. The definition of a prodromal stage, it says there that is when someone in an organization discovers a critical situation. They usually bring it to the attention of their supervisors. And basically, this is what happened in ground zero. The very first person or patient number 1, I'm sure the attending physicians, the nurses, all the other frontliners that are there in that hospital suddenly are now thinking, wait a minute, this is a virus, although this is a virus similar to another virus that we've had in the past, but it is, shall I say, it has mutated to something even more deadly. Okay? So this is what we call as the pre-crisis or warning, or what we call a precursor. At this point in time, the critical situation is known only inside the organization. And when we talk about organization here, we're talking about the hospital, where the very, very first patient in Wuhan had that virus. Okay, at this point or at this stage, this is not yet open to the public. Okay. Only a few people who were able to come in contact with the virus are familiar or now realizing that there is a virus. So this is what we call a prodromal stage. Plain and simple term, it's a precursor. Okay? It's a warning. Okay? Now, the second stage for that would be what we call the acute stage. Okay? Acute stage means this is a crisis that moves from the pre-crisis to the acute stage already. It becomes visible outside the organization. And at this point in time, managers have no choice but to address it. So this was when the hospitals, organizations would now have to make a plan, come up with a press conference or an actual statement that they would now eventually talk about or share with the public. Okay. At this point, it is too late to take preventive action, as any action taken now is more associated with what we call damage control. Okay. So remember, the very first one is prodromal and the second one is acute stage. Going on to our third stage is what we call the chronic stage. The chronic stage this is usually the longest of the 4. And this is, I think, currently where we're still at. Okay. This is where litigation occurs, media exposes are aired, internal investigations are launched, government oversight investigations commence, and so on. Now remember, it says here, based on experience and based in history, this could go on for years, or in some cases, it never ends. Now, very positively, and I would like to say this, that I hope that this will not go on for years as far as COVID-19 is concerned. But I'm sure this will continue every now and then. But as soon as we have an antidote or what we call a vaccine, at least we can more or less control this at this point. But we are, I'd like to believe that the Philippines is currently at the chronic stage. We are here. So it says there again, this is usually the longest of the 4 stages. This is the third stage in what we call again, the chronic stage. Now, the 4th stage, this is something that we are hoping where we're going to be very, very soon. And I am very optimistic when I say that. The resolution stage is the 4th of the final 4 stages. Prodromal, acute, and then previously was the chronic stage, and now this is what we call the resolution stage. Now, the resolution stage, we are not here currently, but let me just share to you, because this is part of what the 4 stages of crisis is. The final stage of crisis management is when things began to, they start being a little bit normal. Okay? So effective resolutions for the situation are put into practice already. And if they go as planned, the incident begins to fade from the spotlight. So meaning to say, this is something that we're going to be hopefully having over the next few weeks. And again, I'm very optimistic and positive with, of course, lots of prayers that goes with that. And I'm hoping that this will be where we are going to be very, very soon. Okay, so we are now we just concluded the 4 stages of the crisis. Okay, now that is not enough when we talk about communications and relationship building, because remember, even if you have the 4 stages already, you have to still manage your information, and this is part of what we call the 4th stage. Okay, the 4th stage is the resolution stage. It's important to remember that when you cannot get your hands on the information you need in a crisis, or when the information you have is inappropriate, you can miss opportunities and your performance drops. As it happens, the information management ability and organizations needs to succeed is already within their grasp. So this is very important right after your 4th stage, which is the resolution stage. You need to be able to manage your information. Okay? Now, it is very important, of course, this is, shall I say, in a perfect world, this is what we should have done. We should have developed relationships before a crisis. Okay, very excellent, not just good, but excellent relationship before a crisis. Why is it important? Because the relationship that we are able to build with our customers, with our clients, needs to be able to withstand the crisis that we're currently going through right now. Okay. Now, of course, partner relationships or business relationships should be developed ahead of any crisis, so there is a solid foundation for coordinated work through each crisis. So we have to be able to really plan. But the thing is, this is talking about all in hindsight, because honestly, the world, not just the Philippines, but the whole entire nation, the country, the whole world, Western, the third world countries, the G7 countries, if you really think about it, we were all caught by surprise by this virus, by the crisis that we are currently facing. As a matter of fact, Howard, if I ask you, never have we experienced in your lifetime or mine any virus or any plague of this magnitude. Is that safe to say?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, because the way yung sinasabi nila, the last time was the 1918 and there was another one in 1958. But if you think about it, none of us were born prior to the year 1958. So if you think about it, only the baby boomers probably would have experienced something very close to what we're experiencing right now. But between you and me, this is something that we are all learning as we go and as we experience. Okay, so this is basically talking in hindsight, talking about being able to build relationships that can withstand any crisis. And the crisis that we're talking about should include pandemic, because a lot of people did not even realize that pandemic was included, or any disease or virus was included in the stages of crisis. Okay, now let me share with you some things that we can avoid. Okay, 5 things to be exact. 5 things to avoid during crisis. First of all, it is very important. What normally happens is inadequate accessibility to stakeholders. Now, what does this mean? Inadequate accessibility to stakeholders. Simply put, what this means is that our customers and our stakeholders, remember, if we're a business, our stakeholders can be both internal and external. We have our customers who walk into the door, and we have our internal customers. They're also our stakeholders. And one of our important stakeholders as well is the one who can impact our career, is also another stakeholder. But in this case, if we're talking about businesses, the one that can impact the longevity of our business, shall I say. So how long are you going to be in business? Now, if there is inadequate accessibility to stakeholders, what's going to happen is that they're going to worry about your business. They're going to worry about how are they going to benefit, or how are they going to continue enjoying the services, your products, if they do not have the access to your business, because we are currently facing crisis. For example, there are so many restaurants in fast food chains currently, they're closed, right? You can only enjoy when you order takeout, or for some cases that I've seen, you can go to their place, but you cannot eat there and just simply order and, in and out. You go order and leave the place and go to your house, and that's where you're going to eat it. Now, but the thing is, some decided to close initially during the chronic stage of the 4 stages. The first 2 stages is what happened was when the virus or when this crisis started already, even though there wasn't any ECQ yet, or what we call the enhanced community quarantine or lockdown, short of saying, everyone started just simply, okay, we're going to weather the storm, so to speak. Let's just close temporarily and we will get through this. Now, we are way past the 30-day ECQ initially for Luzon. And as a matter of fact, we have already been extended up to the end of the month, which is April. I've been hearing news, of course, it's unofficial, but it's going to go further than that. And if you think about it, between you and me, Howell, I'm sure you would agree that I think it is for the best, although, yes, it is really impacting everyone, the businesses, the providers, the suppliers, the contractors, and of course, the general masses also is heavily impacted with what is happening. But if you think about it, I think it's all for the best if we are going to be able to really flatten the curve. Currently, I cannot say that we've peaked already, and I cannot say we've already flattened the curve, because numbers show that it's still rising. And there are places now that have not been infected, but now they already have positive patients or PUIs. For example, the recent Quezon City Jail, they now have 9 prisoners and 9 jail guards who are positive with COVID-19. You can just imagine the trickle-down effect of what happened in that particular place. Okay, so inadequate accessibility to stakeholders, meaning to say our stakeholders, we should be able to get in touch with them, we should be able to contact them, and they should be able to contact us. They should know what we are planning, what we are going to do, because if we have been in the business for quite some time, and I can be talking about a restaurant, a hotel, or any service providers, if you've been in the business for quite some time, you already have built relationships with your customers, and they would want to be able to access, how are you, what's your plan, what's your next step, and them not knowing, these are one thing that you should be avoiding in a crisis. Okay. Next is the lack of understandability in the haste to make to communicate or make communication. Sorry, little typo there. It's supposed to be haste to make communications. Sometimes, and this is very common to us Filipinos, we are more reactive than proactive. So because there's a crisis, there's a tendency that some people are not, shall I say, composed. And when you are not composed, the tendency for you to make hasty decisions or decisions that you might eventually regret, it's there, the possibility of you making that hasty decision. So that is also another thing that businesses and owners should be able to understand, that yes, there's a crisis that's currently happening right now. We should first stay safe, put our foot on the ground, and keep abreast of what is happening, and then assess the situation before you make any decisions of any magnitude. Because remember, any decisions or decisions that you make that are quite fast, chances are it is what we call a reactive decision. It is better to be proactive. Okay. Now, the next would be the lack of enthusiasm in the contact. As you can see in the pictures, the two figures there are not happy. I mean, when you look at them, they're not happy. One is a cute pug, but it's not smiling, okay? And the other one is a robot. So when I talk about enthusiasm or lacking of enthusiasm when you're talking to your customers, it is very important that you don't become like a robot. It doesn't have to be procedural or you're just simply doing something that is very transactional. You have to be able to talk to your customers, relate, and engage your customers. Now, some people might be asking, what about during these times of crisis? All the more that we should be more enthusiastic. And part of being enthusiastic, it should also come with empathy. Remember, the good thing, and some people might raise their eyebrows, or some heads might roll when I say this, that the good thing about what this pandemic is doing is that it is making us more compassionate. It's making us more humane. It is making us more friendly. It is making us more mindful of others. And the other thing about, shall I say, the good thing that this pandemic is doing is that it is making us realize that probably there are things that we need to improve on, things that we need to be better. So we need to emphasize, and it is non-hierarchical. This is like an organization where the hierarchy is like flat, because whether you're rich, you're poor, you're a daily wage earner, you're a monthly wage earner, you get your salary bi-monthly, or you're a politician, you're a military, you're a police, or just simply the common masses, even the taong grasa, okay? We're all affected by this virus. There is no exemptions. Anyone can get it, di ba? Kaya nga that's what we say, stay at home. It is better to stay at home. Remember, the one thing that we can control is to be able to just simply stay at home. And if we do that, then I think we're going to be able to flatten the curve very, very soon. Okay, so again, lack of enthusiasm. The third illustration or picture that you can see, or image, is that it's a lady smiling even with a watermelon. Because technically it's summertime. How well, di ba? It is summertime. We should be enjoying the beaches. We should be enjoying a lot of team building facilitation during these times. But suddenly, the seasons, as far as Philippines is concerned, suddenly stopped. Summertime, we're not really sure now of what that means because we're not able to go out. That's what happened. So even when you talk to your customers at this time, you have to be enthusiastic, and please not forget empathy, to add empathy in there, because you know what they're going through, because you yourself is going through the same thing. That's the best part about this pandemic. It affects everyone. Walang exempted. Okay? Ang na-exempt lang is yung mga taong masunurin. You stay at home. Okay? Pareho namin ni Howell. Okay, so now the fourth of the things that you need to avoid during times of crisis is there are problems with timeliness. Too little, too late. Sometimes you want to be able to communicate, but by the time you communicate, everyone knows already what is happening, or they have heard from somebody, through the grapevine of what you are planning to do, that you are not going to open. If you're a business, that you're not going to open during the whole quarantine period. Worst case scenario, some businesses, and I've seen this around my area, when you look at the glass window, there's nothing inside anymore. Meaning that business folded as early as a little over 30 days of not being able to operate. Because remember, this is not just a holiday for 30 days. This is an indefinite situation that we're in, that we don't know when it will get better. But we can help in making things better by, again, I cannot stress this enough, staying at home. Okay? So this is how we normally look, by the way, Howard and I. We normally wear suits at home. Just don't make us stand up, okay? So the next one, and are you familiar with this particular movie, Howell, from the movie Anchorman?
Yes, I watched both of the movies.
Ron Burgundy. He says there, I don't know how to say this. Remember, this is the first time that he met or they went out on a date with the new newscaster, and he goes, I don't know how to say this, but I'm kind of a big deal. Okay, so that's one of the mistakes that any business can make, and that is the fifth one, what we call perceptions of arrogance. Okay,
Yes.
stakeholders are not being valued. Remember, that's the reason why they're called a stakeholder. You have to value them. And arrogance, really, at this point, and even if you notice when you go through social media, arrogance is frowned upon at this time because even though a lot of people would like to politicize what is happening, the heroes now, the tables have turned, and the heroes now are what we call the frontliners.
Yes.
Remember, I saw a meme, which is very interesting meme. Superman was removing his letter S and giving his
Yes.
cape. Did you see that meme?
I saw that. I saw a lot of that.
Yeah, Superman was removing his letter S and removing his cape and giving it to a person who was wearing scrubs, meaning to say this is a person who is a health worker. They are now the modern heroes. So arrogance at this point in time really will not work because we need to really be humble because this virus is telling us one thing. You cannot beat me if you don't follow my rules. Just like when we started, Miss Iris showed some ground rules. There is very strong ground rules that this virus has set. Number one is to stay home. Number two is to be very clean personally, your hygiene. Di ba? Nag-iba, nag-iba yung norm natin. Do you also do that when you come home, if you went out to buy some utilities or groceries, that when you come home, you make sure that you're able to remove all the clothes you were wearing outside, you don't bring your shoes in, and you go straight to the shower and make sure that you are clean. Are you the same thing, Howell?
That's what we do now.
Yeah, which is funny, right? We've never done that before, but now it's like Filipinos in general are very good in personal hygiene, but now our personal hygiene has really gone maybe 5 notches up, right? We now make sure alcohol is a normal thing nowadays. Alcohol, hand sanitizers, all of these things. Okay, now in hindsight, let us do a quick recap on the 5 things to avoid during a crisis so that our listeners and viewers would be able to see. Remember, inadequate accessibility to stakeholders, the lack of understandability in the haste to communicate, the lack of enthusiasm in the contact. Okay, you have to be able to talk with your customers as if you are not as if, but you are really empathizing sincerely because remember, you know what they're going through. For example, the social amelioration program, even the people who are living in subdivisions are also looking forward to it because again, remember, it's non-hierarchical, so it affects everyone. So you have to add a little more compassion. You have to be more human when you talk to your customers nowadays. And surprisingly, I was in one famous drugstore, okay, and this drugstore sounds like the last name of a famous singer from Queen. Okay, so and the guards that were asking the people to do line up who are waiting to get inside. There were 2 guards. One guard was very empathetic. He was very nice, and the other one seemed like he wasn't a little bit too happy with what he's doing. The sound that he's making and the way that he's talking, it was a little bit condescending. And I believe that sometimes you kind of sound that way. It's because probably you're already tired. You are working 16-hour shifts, right? Tama? But the thing is, remember, when you're in front of a customer, you really have to make sure that the customer is always important. Okay, I cannot say customer is king. We all know that already. That when you talk to your customer, when you see a customer, you all look at the customer as a very important thing. Remember, you would not have a job because of customers not going to your business. So if there are no customers, there's no job. So the enthusiasm and the empathy, sympathy, it should be there as well. Okay, and the last one. The second to the last is problems with timeliness. Remember, when you're going to communicate with your customers, it has to be on time. You have to be able to react since we're all simply reacting to this and we cannot be proactive, again, this is something new to us, then let us react and communicate with speed and accuracy. Okay? It has to be time-bound. Dapat agad-agad. Pag merong nangyayari, may nagre-react, somebody's giving out a press con, or for small businesses, SMEs, what you can do is you can post on Facebook right away. You can post on Facebook. We are temporarily closed for the duration of the ECQ. But from time to time, please check up on our social media page because we might have some announcements that we would like to make. True enough, some businesses, meaning a lot of businesses, have opened earlier than expected. Markets did not close. Fruit stands did not close. The only ones that I see that are closed sometimes are the ones who are not able to get their deliveries from the provinces, right? But if you're able to communicate right away and you are focusing on timeliness, because this is very important, then at least your customers could know. And of course, going back to Ron Burgundy, perception of arrogance is something that is frowned upon right nowadays, especially because of what is currently happening. This virus is very deadly and it affects everyone from infants all the way to octogenarians. But surprisingly, and I'm very happy to see that there were some COVID-19 patients who were able to survive even though they were over 100 years old. So meaning to say there is hope, right?
There is for us.
Yes, there is hope for us. Okay, so now how to build relationships in times of crisis. This is the actual meat of the discussions, and a lot of people will be saying, okay, finally. So if you have pens and paper, and I'm hoping that some of our watchers would have pens and paper, I hope you can take down notes, or for those of you who don't like taking down notes already, as a matter of fact, my handwriting was not so good in the first place, but because of this COVID-19, well, I haven't been writing all the more. So I think if I was to take down notes now, it would be really bad. So for people who don't like to take down notes, what they can do is take down videos or record using their camera phone. And I'm sure through Arriva, this is also available, and I think in our YouTube channel for Arriva, and it will also be available in my YouTube channel. They can take down notes there. So I'm sure a lot of people are not able to write as well as they would want to. Ikaw, pastahan tayo, kailan ka huli nagsulat?
Kanina, ngayon, I'm writing down. I'm jotting down notes.
Right. As a matter of fact, ako nga dito nag-take down notes pa eh. Kasi suddenly, there's some things that are important that I want to make sure that I'm able to say across our viewers at the moment. Okay? So let us go down to the meat of this whole discussion. Okay? First of all, you have to ask yourself, when do you build and sustain relationships? A lot of people might say there, when it is important. When do you build and sustain relationships? When it is beneficial to both parties. Okay, there could be so many answers, but if you really want to be able to just simply get the honest truth, and a lot of customer service industry or providers would be surprised to see, especially here in our country, is that when you build relationships, you do it all the time. Okay, you do not choose; you do it all the time. If you take an extra 5 minutes to ask the person who's walking towards the counter, so for example, you're a restaurant, you're a boutique, you're a retail store, you're an airline, somebody who's walking towards your counter, ask them how they think of your products or your services. And if you listen to their answers, you will eventually be able to make sure that your services are always at par. It's not just par, but exceeding to what they expect. But if you ask the person on the other side of the counter what they think about you, you will have built stronger relationship already. So remember, if we go back to the slide before this, it says there, when do you build and sustain relationships? The answer is all the time. there are no timeouts. This is like a convenience store that is never closed. It's 24/7. You always do it, okay? Remember, all that time, you build and sustain excellent relationships with your customers, or what we call your stakeholders, your number one stakeholders, okay? Now, let's talk about very few 6 steps that you need to take in order for you to be able to know what you really need to do for you to be able to maintain and outlast, to ensure that even after this pandemic, even after this crisis, that your relationship with your clients, with your customers is still a-okay, right? So first number, see, as you can see, it's like a red carpet. So number 1, do restore service ASAP. Of course, if this is possible for you. In a short-term crisis, the goal should be able to resolve the issue and return to the normal as quickly as possible. However, this is not a short-term crisis at the moment. And if you really look at it, I feel that it's over a month already, right? Especially because you were just at home, reading books, learning new skills that we might have overlooked over the past few years, reading a book that we bought during the sale, although we've forgotten that we bought it and now it's time for us to read, or learning new skills, do gardening and other stuff. What we are currently experiencing is an ongoing crisis. And to me, even though it's just a little over a month, I feel that it's longer than that. It's just like when you call your network and you want to inquire about something, and they'll tell you, I'll put you on hold for just about a minute, right? And when you are on hold for a minute, you feel like it's 10 minutes. So when they come back, even though sometimes they have good news, you're a little bit agitated because you had to wait for a service that you've already paid for. Now, that is basically what this virus is doing to us. A little over 30 days, I kind of feel like it's the whole summer already. Because if you really think about it, being in your house 24/7 over the past few weeks feels like forever. I don't know with you.
It does.
Right? It kind of feels like forever. So currently, for this particular slide that we're looking at, currently it is an ongoing crisis. So it may mean trying to mitigate negative impacts while the situation still is evolving. Again, remember, we have not flattened the curve at this point. So because we have not flattened the curve, but I may be wrong, okay? But basing on my opinion, I feel that we have not flattened the curve so far. So what we need to do is that I have a particular client. They're the typical Anli Korean barbecue. Okay, I'm sure you've heard of a lot of these places, and I've seen a lot of pictures you enjoying this unlimited Korean barbecue
here in BGC.
Yeah, especially that you have gone through productive meetings, or you've had series. I'm a follower of Howell. So if you've gone through a series of training, Howell, not just Howell, but myself as well, and all the other freelance speakers, we'd like to reward ourselves. And we're very, we're easy to please. Really, the best reward to us is the way to our stomach. So I have a client who is an Anli Korean barbecue. Now, if you think about it, how else can they survive at this point in time when the only way for them to make money in their business is that people to come into their restaurant? Remember, each table has a grill with a, what you call that?
Exhaust.
An exhaust pipe, right? That is over the grill so that the place wouldn't smell really like it was on fire. So how can they continue to generate some revenue if people have to go there? remember, we're trying to practice social distancing. Okay, some of these people cannot move tables anymore because of this, the way that the tables are set up. It's kind of semi-permanent as far as the grills are concerned. So as far as social distancing is concerned, when you talk about restaurants, the more seats, the better for the business. Because why? The more seats generates more revenue. So you cannot move it anymore. So how are you going to maintain social distancing? So you're going to say, okay, I can still open, but what I can do is that it will be after every table. So one table apart. So one table would be one family, the next would be empty, and then there's another one. That's kind of hard to control, especially when there's influx of people lining up wanting to get into your business already to be able to enjoy your Korean barbecue. So one client of mine restored their service right away. And you know what they did, Howell?
What did they do?
What they did was they came up with a tier program or a package. So let's say package one, package two. So for a certain amount, which is 1,000 pesos or 999, which is still less than 1,000. So for less than 1,000, you get two sets of the basic unlimited ingredients that they're going to be putting on your table. Okay, you get two sets, and for that two sets, how are you going to cook that? It comes with an electric grill already for
Wow.
999 pesos only. So that is, shall I say, it's a very innovative, thinking out of the box type of a business owner. Because remember, he was following step number one, to restore service as soon as possible. So what they did was initially, but of course there was a trial and error period. What he did initially was he offered the same rate, but you don't get the grill for free. You rent the grill for 150. And as
Not
soon as
bad.
you're done with, yeah, not bad. And as soon as you're done, he's gonna send his rider back to you to get the grill. But he mentioned to me that, you know what, I've been having some problems. Some people don't want to return the grill just yet, meaning to say they bought ingredients on their own and they're using the grill in their houses. I don't know, very typical of us. And sometimes I also fall into this trap. Filipino tayo, di ba? We are given the hand, we want the whole arm. So sabi niya, I've had problems. Some people don't want to return the grill just yet. So how can I keep having deliveries if my grill is not coming back? So he eventually thought of, okay, why do we put this? We put it at 999, almost 1,000 pesos, with two sets of ingredients, plus we give them the grill included in the 999. And I think that's an excellent idea of them following the step number one. They restored service ASAP. You may not be enjoying their food in their actual location. You don't have the exhaust right in front of you.
Right, yeah.
But the feel, if you're doing it at home, because I'm sure sometimes you as well would agree with me that sometimes, how I wish I could bring this home in front of the TV while I'm eating, watching a game or watching your favorite series, right? Or a movie. You're doing the grill thing, the Korean barbecue style, but at home. Now, because of what happened, they were able to innovate and they restored service number one right away, following the 6 steps, and they're still generating some revenue. Unlike other businesses, they were not able to recover. They did not know how to react right away. They were not able to restore service. So what's happening is that until now, they're still racking their brains, thinking of how are they going to be able to generate some form of income. Okay, so let us go to the next one. Sorry, this is a continuation of the first. Okay, you need to be able to share regular updates through email, social media, text messaging, and if you have a website for your business, which is one thing that is very important, not just having social media pages, but you have to have your own website as well. So you have to be able to put regular newsletters or updates. If it's through email, you can send email blasts to your customers. asking them how they are during these times of crisis, and you tell them or update them on how you as well is coping with what is currently happening. And aside from that, again, there are other venues that you can use. You can do Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and all the other social media platforms. And you can also send text messaging. Remember, some businesses, restaurants, hotels would have a fish bowl on the counter, meaning you can drop your business card. In Arriva, we do this a lot, but it's for the raffle, right? When people register in the front of the venue in AIM, they would drop their business cards in the fish bowl. Yeah. Of course, it's also including for the email marketing campaign, but it's also a good thing for our participants because it is a time wherein we are now giving back to them because it's good for the raffle. So in this case, if your business was during the time that your business was open, it was very important whether you're a coffee shop, you're a bakery, a service provider, a spa, that you would have a fishbowl in front of you and let them drop their business cards. Or you would have normally a big notebook where it's a guest list, visitors, so that you can get there. Of course, a part of marketing, I'm sure you would agree with me, that we can use this for updates, we can use this for emails, for proposals, and all of these stuff. Remember, still talking about number one, if service can't be restored at the levels that your customers are used to, just briefly and honestly explain the current situation that you are going through. For example, if you are a delivery service, you can probably update your customers that at this point in time, not everyone is able to get a quarantine pass right away so that they can cross roadblocks and checkpoints. Remember, for delivery guys, it is very important that they have the pass. So you can probably say that currently in your business, you are still making sure that all of your riders are getting a pass so that they can go through all the checkpoints and roadblocks and detours that they need to go through. Remember, you need to be able to convey that you're working to mitigate the situation and outline the best ways to reach you and or set expectations for response time. In Facebook, if you notice, some people would inquire in certain pages, you would send messages, and you would normally see there's a statistics there that says this person or this business typically replies
within an hour.
Yeah, it says one day, within an hour, within 30 minutes, or it says there immediately. So you have to be able to set expectations for response time with your clients, stakeholders, or your customers. Of course, every time I say that, I'm talking from the business point of view. Okay? You are making sure that your customers, even though you cannot restore your service at the level that they're used to, explain to them. Some businesses would be proud to say, why do I have to explain everything to my customers? Why do I have to tell them? Why do I have to inform them? Remember, your business, your bloodline of your business are your customers. But they're your number one asset, just like what the CEO of Virgin Mobile said. Your number one asset are your employees. Okay, but your customers, they're very important, just like your just like your employees. But remember, take care of your employees and take care of your customers. Okay, so this is talking about number one. Now, number two, ito na yung sinasabi. You have to have a plan. Diba? Planning to, if you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. Remember that saying? So whether you already have a crisis plan or you're currently developing one on the fly, okay, meaning as it unfolds, as it's evolving, you're currently making one, you have to be able to establish a plan that will help keep everyone in your business, including your support team, calm. Meaning to say, talking about internal customers or talking about the people that you that is part of your organization, they have to maintain composure. Okay? Because why? As a leader or as a business owner, you have to be able to make sure that your people can rely on you. You have a plan, okay? This will keep your customers calm as well, because remember, if you see the people in the business are panicking, you yourself will also panic. Let me give a good example. I'm sure you have taken long haul flights, Howell, right?
Yes.
Okay. Imagine in your long haul flight, you would see the flight attendants, or what we call the cabin crews, angsty. They can't sit in place, but they're not really doing what they're supposed to be doing. And you look at their faces, you see that they're sweating, they look like they're about to cry. What is that one thing that you might start to do? You probably might get up and ask them, right? What is happening?
What's wrong?
Yeah, what's wrong? What are you guys not telling us, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they'll probably say, I'm sorry, I was trying to keep composed or maintain my composure, but I never realized that you guys are already seeing it. But our captain had a heart attack. Imagine.
What? Yeah.
Imagine that, right? So remember, if the people in your organization is calm during times of crisis, it keeps your customers calm as well, okay? They want to hear from someone who is confident, prepared, knowledgeable. You as a leader and your employees are knowledgeable as well. This is exactly what they want from you in an emergency situation, right? So imagine, again, going back to that situation. Miss, what is happening? Why you look like you're panicking? Why you're all over the place. Our pilot and our co-pilot had a fight, and they killed each other inside the cockpit. So,
God forbid.
yeah, I mean, God forbid. But remember, you have to hear it from somebody confident. Okay, so remember, again, if they say the saying goes, if you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. So in any situation, again, even though this is something that we're experiencing really for the first time, make sure moving forward that you must have a plan. In this case, you have to have a plan, and I cannot stress that enough. Okay. Next, look at this guy. Nice suit. Okay, standing very confident. Because remember, that is the type of person, like you as a customer, you would want to know that you are a person who can manage a problem and hopefully prevent a problem from happening again. Remember, they want to know that you care about them. Our customers like to feel TLC all the time. Even though sometimes us service providers would always say, grabe, they're so demanding. They want more than what I can give. No, remember, whatever they want, they've already paid for it. You have to just simply deliver it and show them that you are a person that whatever problem they're experiencing right now, the buck stops here. You will make sure that this will not happen moving forward. And remember, we can only do this if we plan. And this is a great lesson to all of us, that what we're currently experiencing now is that something that we have not planned for. But
Yeah, great.
only not a lot of people can react to it ideally. That is why some people are panicking. Some people are looking for other people to find out what the real situation is. Some people don't realize the severity or the gravity of the situation. So again, you have to be able to look like a person that can that is full of composure, a person who is in control, especially moving forward, to be able to avoid these things from happening ever again. Okay. Now, number three, this is another important. This is we're already halfway through the discussion. Make sure that you do provide a consistent response. Remember, consistency is key. Just like if you're an athlete, remember, and you want to be a champion in your particular field, you have to be consistent in practicing. Non-stop practice and even correct practice makes perfect. Now, when we talk about communication, you have to make sure that you do provide a consistent response. Your crisis communication should be consistent with your brand's voice. Remember, you have to take into account the seriousness of the situation and across teams. I'm sure you're familiar with Dwayne Johnson, otherwise known as The Rock. He said, success isn't always about greatness. It's about consistency. Consistent hard work leads to success. Sabi nga nila, di ba, greatness will come. Some people would say, good luck. Sometimes you don't even need luck. If you are consistently practicing, consistently prepping yourself for what is to come, for sure you're going to be able to go past that. Some people, again, don't need luck. They know what they're going to do. They're prepped. So you have to make sure that when you communicate with your customers, with your stakeholders, always take into account your brand's voice, and it should be consistent. So that is a very important thing. I'm sure you agree, Howard.
Agree, 100%.
Yes. Okay. So moving on. By the way, are you seeing some questions as we go through the?
We have questions.
Slides?
We have
Okay, very
questions.
good. I'm very excited. I'm sure you're excited to let me know. But at this point in time, I'm still prepping for that Q&A part. Okay. So we continue with the discussion on the top 6 things that you should be able to do. Continuing on number 3, remember you have to be able to be consistent when you provide your communications. It has to be consistent. At this point in time, guys, I cannot stress this enough, but what we are going through, this is a time to unite.
It is.
It's a time to unite and provide a clear message that you are there to help. We, you and I, including Irish, we are here to help, including Arriva. That is why we're having webinars like this. In fact, it's for free and it's online. Anybody who has a laptop, connectivity, an Android phone, or smartphone, or an iOS phone or iPhone, can take advantage of this webinar. This is a time again to unite and provide a clear message that we are here to help. Okay? Providing a timely and consistent customer experience during these situations, just like what we're going through, it also bolsters confidence that the next time there's a crisis, customers know what to expect and they trust you to be able to execute properly. Do you agree? Some businesses now, again, they did not have a plan. They were not able to restore ASAP, and they're not providing consistent responses or communication to their customers. What happens is that they folded. Like I mentioned to you earlier, I saw some businesses, not just the glasses there are closed or the doors are closed, but when I look inside, as you drive by, you can see that there's nothing inside anymore. That means really they were heavily impacted with what's happening. Okay, so again, that is very important, guys, and that's number 3. Okay, our number 4, don't be defensive. This is a very common reaction for us human beings. We tend to be defensive right away, but remember, this is no time to deny, cover up, or shift blame. Remember, it is not the time to point fingers. Remember what they say, that every time you point a finger, there are 3 fingers pointing towards you back. Right? 3 fingers are pointing towards you. The 2 is pointing to the person you're trying to blame. But remember, this is not the time to shift blame. Transparency and honesty are key. Internal customers and external customers. Of course, very important for your external customers so that they know what is happening. They know what to expect. As a matter of fact, one business owner, I think a CEO, was also mentioning, I saw this over the past 2 days, that they're already having a hard time. They find it very challenging that they're helping, not really more than the government, but they're helping at the same time while the government is helping the people. I think you're familiar with that. So they're having a hard time already, even though they're a multinational conglomerate. People are, again, there's no exceptions to this current situation that we're going through right now. Remember, it's okay to say that you don't know the answer to a question. And I always say this during training. especially when we handle train-the-trainer sessions for newly promoted trainers. Well, remember, as trainers, we are not expected to know the answers to everything. But remember, it makes us more human when we say that we're not sure at the moment or I don't know the answer. But the good thing is that you are the type of person who is resourceful enough to find the answer for that particular participant or a customer. You will find the answer. Just give me a second, just give me a few moments while I make sure that I give you the accurate information to the question that you're asking. Because again, we would like to think that we're walking encyclopedias, but again, encyclopedias now are almost, it's a thing of the past. Tama ba? Unlike
Because
before,
of Google.
people were considered yayamanin when you walk into your friend's house and you see a complete volume.
24 volumes of Groyler's Encyclopedia.
And not only that, you see two brands. You see Groyler's, you see Britannica, and you know
Yes.
that family is rich because they have the complete volume, right? So
And you have two thesaurus books.
Right. Even though freelance leadership training consultants would want to be able to answer all questions, there are times that there are some questions that we want to make sure that we are accurate in giving the answer. So this is the time for you to be able to say that I do not know the answer, but I'm still evaluating the situation. Some people would say, how or when are you going to open? Of course, if you're a food business, you're not really certain right away. You're going to say, let me evaluate the situation and I'll get back to you right away. Would you like to leave your email address or your phone number so that I can include you in our mailing list, in our email blast, so that you know exactly when we're going to open? In fact, I'm going to inform everyone before we open so that you guys are prepared. So make sure that you keep the lines of communication open. Again, not just in business, but even in personal relationships, open lines of communication between you and your stakeholder or your partner, your friends, your customers. Remember, it's not us versus them. Just like what I was saying earlier, we're all in this together. This virus, we can beat this, we can flatten the curve, we can get past this and still have an excellent relationship with our customers, with our clients. We just have to be able to remember step number 4, that is not to be defensive. Okay? I'm sure the questions are slowly piling up there.
It has been piling up. And
yeah, very excited to hear from our viewers. Now, remember, you saw the word hasty earlier when I was telling you the 5 things that you should be avoiding. Here, this is included. This is the 5th. Don't make hasty decisions. Remember, when you're doing something that was part of your plan, and this is happening now, and it's not working, you need to be able to know when to stop doing that and shift tactics or strategies so that you know and reevaluate your current situation and still have another game plan. Remember, you're not supposed to just simply have a plan A, you're supposed to have a plan B and a plan C. And this is all going to be part of your business continuity planning program. So you may need to shift tactics or evaluate your plan several times throughout the course of a crisis, because as it happens, remember, because this is the first time we're really going through something like this, at least in our lifetime, for the millennials' lifetime. Okay.
We included, yeah.
Oh, Filingenials.
We are included.
So you may need to do a trial and error for you to be able to really know what is going to be the step that you're going to make in order for you to get through this as it is happening or as it is evolving. You want to act swiftly, although you have to act fast, because if you decide slowly, you might end up folding your business because you were not able to react as fast as you should. But when I say act swiftly or make fast decisions, you have to make sure that your decisions are based on data or an information that is correct. You cannot just simply make a decision, what we call spur of the moment. It is wrong. You cannot make decisions just because it is the heat of the moment. You have to make sure that this is what we call the calculated risks. That when you do this, this is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
You don't simply think, a very common Filipino saying, bahala na si Batman. Then they do something and I'll just learn from the mistake. Yes, we all will learn from the mistake. But if you really plan ahead and make calculated risks, then you would know where you're going to land. It may not be as painful as you originally planned it to be, but at least you can still go back and now do or execute plan B. Okay? You make sure that keep your options open and always try to revisit your plan as the situation is happening, as the situation is unfolding. Remember, you never know when you need to pivot or you need to make a drastic change. And remember, you don't want to be locked into a stance that is no longer appropriate given the circumstance. Meaning to say, you just don't simply want to be having your back against a wall. Am I correct in saying this, right? Ayaw mo ma-corner ka. You don't want to be cornered back where the wall is already at your back. There's no other place for you to go. So that's a very dangerous situation. As much as possible, you would want to be able to make sure that you can still make your move. Kumbaga, para kang nagchachacha, pwede ka umabante at pwede ka rin umatras. Hindi ka pwedeng tango lang na patagilid. Diba? You have to be able to make sure that you have all different options all in front of your table so that you know how to react when the time comes. Remember, this is something that is happening to us for the very first time. So let us learn through it and remember, make your plans, but when you do plans and execute them, make sure that you take into account that it's already a calculated risk. You know where you're going to fall. You know how fast you're going to be able to get up. Okay, so that's step number 5. Don't make hasty decisions. That's very important, guys. Okay. Now, number 6 is very important already. Ito yung what we call in Filipino term, praning or paranoid. Nowadays, it's better to be praning or paranoid to make sure that everything is clean in your surroundings, yourself, your body, your clothes, everything. Because remember, this virus can basically cling onto anything and you can get infected right away. So number 6 would be, do not ignore risks. Okay, you can never be too careful, sabi nga nila. Especially health is concerned, not just health, but even our lives is concerned. Safety or security is at risk. So that does not mean you should jump into conclusions right away, but it's often better to be overly cautious. And what I say when I say overly cautious, okay lang to be praning. It's okay to be paranoid at this time because remember, it's protecting yourself, your property, your family, and that's the most important thing. Your business, as a matter of fact. Okay, it's rare that companies or businesses are criticized for being too careful or taking a potential risk too seriously. I'm surprised. I've seen a market, and this is a public market I'm referring to. Okay, they have a tent that's clear, and once you go into the market, before you even get inside the market, you have to go through this sanitation tent. And when you go inside it, it's like you're going to get sprayed on, and then you come out of the market. I said, wow, this is a market? I mean, I only see this, and I've heard about this during sci-fi movies, right? When
Outbreak, the movie Outbreak.
Yeah. One of my favorite movies, yes, Dustin Hoffman. When you are going to a location or a venue or a facility that is zero germ, right? You're supposed to be walking into a sanitation thing where they'd spray you. And now I've actually seen one in a public market.
Awesome.
And it's crazy. I mean, this crisis, during this crisis, these are crazy times. I mean, really, we are doing things that we never imagined we would be doing.
I agree.
A lot of people are complaining that the internet is slow. How can it not be slow when everyone is just logged in 24/7 watching Netflix? Right? So even Netflix is complaining. They even had a news advisory that they're going to be slowing down their speed because of too much usage in the Philippines. Imagine that.
Only in the
But
Philippines.
yeah, but that's
It's a
a
good
weird thing to
indicator.
do. Instead of slowing down what they're doing is I think they're going to adjust the quality of movies that you're going to be watching. It's not going to be as high def as you would want it to be
Oh,
because it eats at too it's eating at too much bandwidth for the internet.
probably. Yeah, I believe
Yeah, but
so.
isn't that funny? Instead of them adjusting the quality, shouldn't the internet be adjusted to be faster?
To cater to more clients, maybe outside of the Philippines.
Yeah, Netflix is adjusting to the situation. So that's what they're doing. But
Hmm.
if you look at it and take one step back, it's the internet that should be improved so that the
It
quality
should
or the
be. It should be
bandwidth,
improved.
right, the bandwidth should not be a problem anymore. But again, only in the Philippines. We love the Philippines. That's why we are here participating, staying at home even while we are learning. Again, together, you are currently here with Howell and myself, Eckhon, or otherwise known as the customer service guy. We are currently at our number 6. Remember, if anything your customers may thank you for, your abundance of concern, running paranoid. When you go into a mall, remember back in the day when SM was still SM Shoe Mart, you walk into the SM Shoe Mart and that's it, right? You walk in enjoying the cold air conditioning, right? But times have evolved. Eventually, you would now see a table right after the entrance wherein they would have this baton-looking thing. Normally, the brand is Garrett, right? They would now point that towards your bag and see that if it has a certain sound, then that means there's more metal in your bag. So you could probably have a knife or a gun. So they put that over your near your bag, and you'd feel safe walking into SM Schumart, thinking that at least I know that when I walk in here, the only people who would have guns are the security guards and the police. If I see police going around, so I know I am safe. I can be carefree, shopping, enjoying the air conditioning. This was back when SM again was Schumart. Eventually, now that has evolved. Aside from that thing, the metal detector, the Garrett, you now have a like an arch wherein you feel like you're walking into an airport, right? Wherein it's not own, you don't have to use the Garrett anymore, but this thing will tell you if you have a metal object in your belonging. Now, some places would even have X-ray gadgets so that they can see what is in your bag, like airports. Let's take 9/11 for example. Remember when that happened in the US? Right after the two towers fell down, a few months after that, traveling internationally was so hard, especially when you go into the United States. I was fortunate enough to uh, have gone to the US, right, a few months after 9/11. And funny thing is, before when we take the airplane, you just walk in, they'll check you, they'll frisk you a little bit, and that's it, right? You walk into the airplane. Here, because of what happened, they'll make you remove your shoes, they'll make you remove your belt, they make you remove your watch, empty your pockets like you were held up, right? Remove everything.
And remove your jacket as well.
Yes, and if you're wearing a cap, and this is also prevalent in SM, all SM malls, right? When you're wearing cap, they'll make you remove that. So times evolve because of the different pandemics, the different crises, the different emergencies or calamities that we're going through. So remember, don't ignore risks. When people send out newsletters and when you tell you have precautionary measures in your businesses, people should not frown upon that measure or precautionary measure that you're doing. They should, in fact, love you more for what you're doing for them. Because why? You want to make sure that your customers are safe. You want to make sure that your customers don't get anything that when they go into your establishment or that nothing happens to them, they're safe and enjoy whatever it is they want to do in your establishment because you are taking extra precautionary measures. So remember, if anything, your customers may thank you for your abundance of concern. Okay? That is one of the most important things. Now, as far as tips is concerned, this is not rocket science. A lot of people who are listening to us right now, they might be saying, so really, Eckhon, what is the secret? They might be thinking, how well, Eckhon, what is the secret? How do we maintain and make sure that our relationship with our current clients, with our current customers, or even potential customers that you were already, sending proposals to, you were trying to take care of them, then boom, this pandemic happens. What is that one hard and fast rule that you can give me to make sure that I get past this and have an excellent relationship with them? The tip would be, it's not even tips. It's just one. Are you ready for it, Howell?
I am. I've been ready since this morning.
I know. And that is an inside joke between you and me and I. Okay. So that's an inside joke between you, me, Jeff, and Irish. Okay. I know you're ready. You woke up ready.
Yes.
Right.
With my coat on.
That's correct. Now I know that you sleep with your coat on. Okay? So here is that one thing that a lot of people are asking. The answer, they already know this. It's just that sometimes they overlook this. Okay? This is the answer. You have to seriously, guys, you have to genuinely care for your customers.
I agree.
Don't look at your customer the moment they walk into your establishment, the moment they walk into your restaurant, coffee shop, bakery, whatever it is, they walk in, you smell money. No, don't think of it that way, because at the end, they're the ones who's going to have problems because you're just simply looking at them as money. It's like a means to an end. Because I'll take care of you, I know I'll get my salary. Whether you're happy or not, I will still get my salary because you already came into the business. But the truth of the matter is, there's no really hard and fast rule for this. The tip is, it's not even tips, it's not even two. You just simply have to genuinely care for your customers. How do you do that? You follow the 6 things that I shared with you, but those are during crisis situations, pandemics and calamities, for that matter. But if you do them during times that there is no pandemic, there is no calamity, there is no crisis, and you still follow the 6 rules that I've given you, you're going to have an excellent relationship. It's going to withstand the test of time, whether you go through anything in life, you're still going to go and withstand, again, the test of time. You will have an excellent working, productive relationship, and of course, fruitful relationship with your customers. That's about it. So I think at this point in time, we probably might have questions, and I'm sure, Howell, you have something prepared for us.
Yes, we do have a lot of questions, but before that, we would like to thank you. Of course, the customer service guy, thank you. Thank you, Parang Eckhon, for sharing for free. This is pro bono. Thank you for generously sharing your thoughts, your experience, and your knowledge to grow our viewers right now. And that's a good thing. Now, we have a lot of questions. We thank you for giving us that. But then before we do that, we know that we need to have a break. But even before we go to a break, we'd like to greet our birthday celebrants.
Oh, yes, we do.
Diba? We know na alam natin pandemic na yan, but we still have to celebrate small successes in life and small miracles. And this, a miracle, me surviving the COVID-19 pandemic and making it to your birthday. Happy birthday, Lorraine Buslon and Wendy Kuhn. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Yes.
Oh,
happy birthday. And if some of you are also celebrating your birthday, let us know so we can greet you as well. Now that we have greeted them, we will pause for a short break, if it's okay with you, the customer service guy.
Of course.
We'll pause for a break and we'll have our water break. Don't you go away. We'll be right back, we promise.